Hello everybody, Flint Treasure of Oblivion review. So, um, as as long as I like the pirate lore, the pirate setting has always had an undeniable charm, a rough and a wild taste, which in recent years has often lent itself to be the word of the video games with more or less effectiveness. Here, for example, our review on the Skull and Bones. You can check it on our channel. In this first regard, Flint Treasure of Oblivion is an intense experience far from the world of navigation, and set mainly in places such as villages of merchant ships, makeshift villages perched on remote island in the Caribbean, the presence of this or that stronghold of the French Navy, in short, with feet firmly planted on the ground and a focus on the real pirates, on their misdeeds and lives, rather than on piracy in a broad sense. Plot of the Flint Treasure of Oblivion does not shine for variety and originality, despite telling the adventures of an iconic, well-known pirate, the legendary James Flint. Those riches are central to the famous novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, Treasure Island. The idea of telling an unedited version of the adventure of the captain is interesting, but unfortunately the pace of Flint Treasure of Oblivion does not exactly live up to the name it evokes, with a fairly predictable unfolding of events and a few memorable situations. Accompanied by his faithful second, Flint initially finds himself adrift in the rubble of his ship destroyed during the storm, then captured by the French and imprisoned. The stubborn pirate, however, does not lose heart and slowly recovers his strength, escapes and forms a crew full of classic village rats, steals a ship and sets off in search of a legendary treasure on whose map he has managed to get his hands almost by an accident. He will have to face a journey that is anything but serene, the details of which we will skip over so that you can experience them firsthand. Not that he had the story, and the story in general is a disaster, don't get us wrong. It's just a slightly banal story for those fortunes are, however, lifted by two elements that we appreciate a lot. First of all, the crudeness and all the times historically accurate realism of some events, places, objects, or characters. Then, the idea of implementing the cinematics and most of the movements dedicated to advancing the plot using a series of illustrated scenes in a graphic novel style. On the vivid and detailed 3D backgrounds, crowded with the characters and NPCs in emotion, the pages of the pirate-themed album of fine workmanship are composed from the time to time, which does not separate intense scenes, violence, and treacherous shots of flintlock pistols. The benefits of research carried out by the development team in the depths of the 16th and 17th century history, linked to the most famous pirates of all time, are evident and shine throughout in dialogues between the characters, in the sayings, in the style of the menus and interfaces. Even the consumable objects and the equipment of the weapons are perfectly themed, as are the portraits and models of NPCs. Enemies are playable characters. Moving on the locations, although in the run you can perceive the recycling of some furnishing and textures, the care taken is representing now the moldy interiors of the caravels. Now the smoky and the humid rooms of the place crowded with the pirates, or even the white sands of a sunny beach where the Flint has just landed, wins over everything. The pirate atmosphere of Treasure of Oblivion has been well packaged, and Savage Level has also done a good job of the gameplay front, which rides the surge in popularity of pen and paper role-playing games with the dice in tow. The structure of Flint is, however, much simplified compared to that what supports a Baldur's Gate 3. We find a camera with an isometric view that can be rotated in four cardinal positions during the battles to evaluate the movements of the tactical decisions. The turn-based battles between the team of multiple elements on a chessboard with hexagonal squares, and the use of the dice to determine the successful or failure each event and action. The system is well tested on and in effect, although simple, it works well. Flint and his henchmen can exploit the surrounding environments as well as the fist weapons and specialized abilities that depend on their specializations. To get the better of the groups, they oppose them during turn battles that can become quite crowded. Sometimes even a little confusing to tell the truth due to character design faithful to the closes of the time but not always suitable for promoting the recognition of the troops. Add to that the fact that the aiming system for the unit is quite slow and often due to hexagonal shape of its squares it can become imprecise as we move around the board, leading to selections errors that further slow down the action. All this combined with a difficulty level calibrated quite high and generous HP bars for both allies and enemies make it essential to prepare to spend a lot of time, sometimes repeating the same action which unit over and over again until you knock down every opponent. Properly equipping the supporting characters will certainly make everything easier, but those who are more hasty will end up losing someone. Don't worry though, because each fight can be faced and rewanted infinitely. If, for example, you intend to protect all the members of the crew that you have personally hired, one by one, exploring the settings and experiencing small but interesting moments of a criminal daily life. Let's say you will need to recruit a firearms expert capable of handling pistols and rifles better than a cook or a doctor. First you have to find him, walk throughout the crowded streets of the city where he lives and without any indication minimap or the other tools. Then, when you have located him, what better way to convince him to break into his shop, tamper with a weapon that he is about to spell a French soldier to make it explode in his hands. Then, make sure that the expert has no choice but to turn himself into justice or flee with you away to see twisted. No, it's piratical and Machiavellian. And only shame is that even though there are a fair number of different situations and the various fields beyond the recruitment, there is no way to control them in any way, and they are all guided and scriptured, and sometimes even when any unlucky dice rolls should undermine their success. In a conclusion, Flint Treasure of Oblivion is a pirate adventure with a successful atmosphere and a tone full of visual details that make it more authentic than many other pirate transitions, interfaces, settings, and costumes. Equipment and objects writing a text contribute to the goal. The plot, on the other hand, is not among the most interesting and does not fully do justice to the importance of the protagonist. The legendary pirate James Flint from the novel Treasure Island as the one of the actual gameplay, although the dice rolls liven up the turn-based battles a bit, in the long run they become repetitive and no shit. The die rolls liven up the turn-based battles a bit. In the long run, they become repetitive at the times and sometimes last too long. Ultimately, if you are a fan of setting hallway between the epic and the crude, all shrouds, rusty swords, and explosive barrels, Flint will fully satisfy you. Otherwise, both of the strategic RPGs is an enjoyable experience, but not very original or variated. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Yo guys, peace!